We're going to be talking about if you're afraid of being successful as an actor. And you might not be aware of that, but you might be aware that, you're doing everything. You've been training for a long time. You do recognize that when you are working on scenes, you really feel very free, very much like yourself, like you can take the challenges, like you know that your talent is really there, like you're pretty trusting as far as your capacity and as far as the depth of your engagement. You're really there for the good reasons. You're not an actor who is just trying to be successful and famous. You're really committed and to doing it for the right reasons, which would mean to defend your character's needs rather than your ego's needs, right? So if you're feeling like you're checking all the boxes and you've tried every method out there, every technique, and it seems like you're doing everything right and all your ducks are in a row, but you're still not getting the success that you feel that you should get from everything that you're investing in, then that's definitely an icky feeling. And one thing that you could look at is your relationship to success. So being afraid, when people say I'm afraid of success, it might not mean much to you if you're not in touch with that. But ways for you to discover really what is blocking your capacity to be successful is possibly some relationship to success that's not serving you. So one way to look at it, which we do with actors in our community, is to actually dig in and look at asking yourself the questions of, what is my relationship to success? Where I was brought up, what did my mom say about success? What did my dad say about success? What did we say about successful people when I was little? What do you think about successful actors? And kind of get to the texture of your answers, like to actually see what is your relationship to money, because success might be associated to money with you. What is your definition of success? What does success mean to you? Is it to be fulfilled doing some content that you like and doing some plays with a community that you like, and to not have the ambition of being seen by everyone, but actually just having the ambition of doing content that you're proud of, content that you feel has some depth and some value, and you're more interested in the quality and the sharing with a community that doesn't need to be very big? Or does success mean to you that you want to be seen by everyone and you want to be working all the time, right? So you also want to look at actually, what is it that I do want? Because I think that often actors, when they get into this industry, might just take it for granted that it has to look a certain way. I have to be famous. I have to be working all the time. And they don't really realize that all those external objectives usually are not the ones that are going to make you feel happy and fulfilled, right? It always has to be from the inside out and not from the outside in. So I know some actors who are very successful at working all the time, being lead roles in huge productions, and that are terribly unhappy. So would you still call that success, right? That are in pain when they're acting because they have just reached for the stars and forgot themselves in the process. And so they're in the work of getting themselves back, right? So what does success mean to you right now? What is something that you would want to reach that actually fits your needs of success? And what does success mean? Is it just fulfillment? Is it working all the time? Is it paying your bills with acting? Is it working for a specific type of job or media? Is it just doing theater? Is it just film? Is it just TV? Like, I think it would be good for you to have some introspection about what kind of success you want, so that maybe you're not projecting just a generic thing about success and therefore being afraid of it because you don't even want most of it, right? And so there's another thing that's really very frequent in actors, is that some actors most actors, I would say, have some degree of unworthiness in them. And therefore, when you feel unworthy and you don't work on that, if you suddenly become very visible and very out there, very successful in terms of widespread, everybody knows you, suddenly everyone sees how unworthy you think you are. So what we're doing when we're afraid of success is we might have a tendency to hide. We might have a tendency to find a lot of reasons why things are not working the way we say we want them to work, so that we can stay in our little corner in the dark when no one sees us. And it may not be the dream we want to reach. However, it's much more comfortable and much healthy, much safer for us to stay in a hidden spot, because should we be projected in front of everyone, everyone would know all of these things that I don't like about myself. They would see them. So the best strategy is therefore to hide. And again, you might not be aware of that, but I think that if you're realizing that you're putting all of your love in this work, that you feel trained, that you feel ready, that you that you can be available, that you can be open, that you can be free, but every single time you have a juicy opportunity, some part of you closes up and it feels like you're accelerating, but you're pressing on the brakes at the same time. It's like mixed intention, right? There's your ego that probably says, I want the success, but there's a true part of you that feels unworthy and says, no way. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be in the spotlight because I don't like this about me, and I don't like this about me, and I don't like that about how I react. And if I'm in the spotlight, everyone's going to see that. So the safest thing to do is to actually stay hidden in the dark, right? So the strategy is then to not be successful. So if you have that dream to be successful and you don't really know what it means, but you somehow feel that it's going to make you happy because famous people are happy, or success makes people happy, which is so not true, by the way, right? But if you have that belief, and at the same time inside of you, your truth says, I don't want to be seen. Like, part of you thinks success is a solution to all of your inner problems of unworthiness. And another part of you inside that feels the unworthiness is like, no, I'm not going to be exposed. I don't want people to point at me. I don't want people to see who I really am, because then I'm going to feel all the shame of what I don't like about myself. So the opportunity when you realize that you're actually having some fear about being seen is to realize that, the root of it is there's some unworthiness, something that you decided about you to not like and to make less good than what it should be. That is, feedback that you want to be looking at, that you want to be curious about, where you want to go in and say, okay, it's time to not learn another technique, not learn another method, not focus on how to set my camera or how to perfect my self-tapes, but actually work on your priority, which is, what are you bringing to the self-tape? What are you bringing in a scene? If it's part of you that's actually feeling like this inside, no matter how much you want it, that part of you is going to want to stay really protected and really in its comfort zone, and is not going to let you be in the spotlight because it would be too painful, right? So the opportunity is really to get curious. It's feedback. It's not a problem. It's not, it doesn't mean you have to judge yourself or there's something wrong with you. The reason why there is any unworthiness that you may be feeling is just the result of your conditioning. It's the result of how culture raises human beings, right? You're born as a pure being, and then, everything in the culture and your education and the parenting that you get is telling you to behave a certain way, to be different, to fit in, to blend in. And that's not why you're here. You're not here to settle in this lifetime. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to fit in. You're here to live your grandiose life. You came here to be you in the fullest way, in the most profound way. But everything in your education system, everything in your conditioning, in the way that you've been raised emotionally, intellectually, culturally, has asked you to repress everything that you are, to just become you know, a much, much, much smaller of yourself that pleases everybody else and that fits in. And so that's why you feel unworthy. It's not because you are unworthy. You're born perfect, and you're a human being, and you're just a miracle. So the work to do is really not to learn, not to fix. There's nothing to learn. There's a lot to unlearn, right? You unlearn that education, you unlearn that conditioning, that formatting, that programming, all of the stuff that you were told to be, to behave, to feel, to not feel, all the stuff that doesn't belong to you. That's the opportunity, is to undo that so you can really get back to who you are. And when you get back to who you are, you can be with who you are. Your worth is given, right? You were born worthy just because you are, and you won't have to play catch up with feeling worthy or unworthy. Those will be notions that you'll never think about again. So that's the work we do in our community. We help actors reset so that they can undo all of that stuff that's sprayed into them during their whole childhood, and they can go back to their pure selves. And then you don't need to hide anymore. You don't need to be afraid of success, because you can be seen. You're fine with who you are. You actually enjoy being who you are. You love expressing the fullness of who you are, because that's what you came for. You came to experience yourself fully. You didn't come to fit in. You didn't come to settle. So yeah, I would say that fear is a great feedback that will give you a sign that it's time to dig in and move through that. And if you've done some digging in already, it's time to dig in deeper and to get even more profound in your artistic instrument. Whatever you do, it would be the same for anyone who is artistically busy, right? It's not just for actors.